I went to Uptown.
Right. Was Loving You your very first single and your first time on Wax?
My first solo single, my first time on Wax, I did a song with an artist who was signed to Elektra back in '90 when I was out in LA. I was hustling, I was making my moves and making my mark, and I had a few deal offers out there too. But I had worked with an artist named AK, or Anthony King. He was signed to Elektra, um, and we did a duet together. The album, it didn't do as well as it should have, but that was my first. I don't know if you're familiar with like that the Oakland hip hop, like Mac,
Mall?
what is it? Yeah, or Mac Dre or what?
Mac
There's
Dre?
yeah, there's a producer named Kyrie Shaheed. Are you familiar with Kyrie?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, he produced the album that I'm referencing. So we did that whole album in Vallejo, California. They flew me from Los Angeles to Vallejo. It was like country and real races, but we got down and did like a whole album. I did all the backgrounds. It was a lot of fun and a lot of experience. So that was the AK Experience is the name of the album, and the song we did is called I Love You, You Love Me Too, I believe. Yeah. So AK, yeah, that's my brother to this day.
So, so what was your deal with Uptown initially for?
Oh wow. Well, so before like BC, well, how do you say BQ before Quincy, I think they were offering me like about in the 200s range or whatever. Um, as was Paris Davis, I believe. Once Quinn came into play and he was willing to allow me to produce and do all of that, it changed the whole scope of my deal. It went from like 200 to like in the upper sixes with a six-figure advance, and I was actually able to sign to Chrissy J Music, which is my production company, as opposed to signing as an artist proper to Uptown. So the whole bidding war afforded me a better deal, actually. I had a really good deal, even more important than the advancement, for the first album. I had like close to 20 points with bumps for my project because of that whole bidding war. I had a really good deal.
Right.
So
What was your response like on that Who's the Man soundtrack? What were the consumers saying? What was the street saying when your single was on that track, that soundtrack?
people liked it. Actually, I never liked that song. Out of out of everything I've done, I think that's my least favorite. But it was political. This is the beat. This is the sample we're going to use. We're going to use Pete Rock's, sample, blah, 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 blah. So I made it do, what it do. But that was not really that was more of New Jack Swing. It wasn't really my vibe. I'm a soul singer.
Right.
So not that I hate the song or anything, but it just didn't represent me. And I didn't really, uh, actually, I did two remixes with Corey Rooney and rest in peace, Prince Marky D. And I like those better because it was more R&B and not so much New Jack Swing. But artists have songs. It's political. I didn't really care for the song though.
Right. You also had a track on Class Act, which you co-wrote with Howie T.
Oh wow, you've done some homework. Yeah, that was my first song placement. Yes, Howie is one of the most genuine, kind, loving, talented people I know out of meeting people in the industry. He's a really, really good brother. I wrote so many songs with Howie as a result of that. That happened as a result of Cassandra Mills. Another time I got caught up in some political stuff that, and this was before Uptown, by the way. Cassandra, I had done some demos. And she heard them and she wanted to sign me. This was around the time New Jack City came out. She had me come with her to the premiere, and it was exciting. And I'm like, oh, she had just gotten a position as a like top executive at Giant. and she wanted to sign me. Well, the producer, I'm not going to say his name, basically, I guess, I don't really even know, kind of falsely represented that I was his artist, but we were just doing songs together. And who he was represented by made like a big thing about it, like as if I was their artist too. This is another well known person. I was never this person's artist. So this person goes to Cassandra's people and it's like she's trying to steal my artist. So she couldn't sign me. So, and
Wow.
I'm like, I do, but as a result of that, she did hook me up with Howie and get me on Class Act. And we did so much. I mean, I was living at Howie's studio back in the back of his house. So I was living there like, man, I think I've written more songs with Howie T than any other producer ever. I
Wow.
learned a I learned a lot. And he would give me, it taught me how to write really, because a lot of times he would give me a blanket track. It may just be a 2 or 4 bar loop. I can't keep singing the same melody. I have to push myself, push my ear to hear more. And then he would come in and add other things behind it. But how he's a hip hop producer whose foundation is sampling. So a lot of times it would just be samples. It could be a 4 bar loop. As a songwriter, you can't repeat, you can't have a repetitious thing of four. So I had to really push myself and say, wow, where can I make this go? And it really helped me as a writer. Yeah.
Right.
Those are
Well,
some times you take me back.
yeah, for sure. What work did you do on Father MC's album?
I did a song, Dag, I don't remember the name of it, but it was a Cheryl Lynn sample that who produced that? Another legend. Clark Kent produced that song. Now is the time. I think it might have been called.
Okay.
It was the encore. It was the Cheryl Lynn's encore. It was that beat.
Okay. Well, you remember about a young Usher earlier on.
Usher. Wow. I first met Usher. I was working with Dave Hall. The producer Dave Hall. Um, and this was before he got with Puffy. We were, doing some writing for him. Cute little kid, very talented, very excited, looking and curious about everything. And then maybe about 6 months later, or maybe the next year or something like that, I was at this spot. It used to be popping called Soul Kitchen on Monday nights. I'm telling on my age, but those that know. Um, and Puff was there with L.A. Reid, and he was basically saying that he was taking over Usher's project, and he wanted me to, be involved, and he wanted me to meet L.A. Blah blah blah. So that's how I got onto that project. I only worked on a few songs. I know Herb Middleton Productions. I can't remember who else. It was so long ago, but yeah, he was a good kid, real talented. I feel proud when I see him now because I'm like, well, I did vocal coach him for a minute, so maybe a little bit rubbed off, but during that project, uh, Puff wound up signing Faith, and she basically took over where I was at and did the majority of the project with him, which makes sense because that was his artist. But I did work on the first half of that project with them.
Okay. Heavy D and the Boys, Nothing But Love turns 30 this year. How does Crystal
That was it.
Johnson jump on this particular album?
Heavy. Wait, let me. Was it? It was either Heavy or Pete. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I want to say it was Heavy, but it might have been Pete. I can't remember. Basically, I got the song I'm working on. I Want You to Come. I went down to Green Street, which is the studio Pete always used. Is one of the few songs that I did work on that I didn't write. Heavy wrote that. And he was very specific. He came in the booth and he was singing. He had this little tremble in his voice, and it used to be so cute because he would be singing with all his heart, with his little tremble. But he basically, told me what he was looking for, and we made it happen. And it was a hit. You know, I heard that all the time on the radio. I'd be out in the street, and that was a heavy rotation. I think it might have went number 3 or 4 on the hip hop Billboard. I'm not sure,
Right.
but yeah.